In today's climate, nothing will make you a more accurate or confident shooter than Crimson Trace laser sighting systems. Get the immediate, decisive advantage of the world's only grip-integrated laser sights today. Shoot better. Stay safer. Crimson Trace.
Lock and load. It's time to load up on some intellectual ammunition with Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. It doesn't matter if you learn to shoot with Daniel Boone or you're brand new. You're welcome here. This is the original national talk show about guns, and Tom Gresham is your guide through the maze of ballistics and politics. So grab your phone and call in right now, 866-825-5486, or just dial 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Now, here's Tom.
This is Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, now available on iTunes and other podcast clients, and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for iPhone and Android. Feel free to call Tom now at 1-TOM-TALK-GUN or 866-825-5486, or email Tom at guntalk.com. Now, once again, here's Tom.
All right, back with you, Tom Gresham. If you want to contact me, it's very easy. You just pick up the phone and call 866-TALK-GUN, or just dial Tom Talk Gun. That'll get you in here. Also, Tom at guntalk.com. On Twitter, I'm at GunTalk. A lot of ways to get hold of us. Of course, on Facebook, that's always fun. Gun Talk over there, and just a lot of ways for us to communicate. But honestly, I like it when you call 866-TALK-GUN. Now, imagine, for whatever reason, the police come and take one of your guns, or two of your guns, or $700,000 worth of guns. An entire massive gun collection. And now you're fighting to get them back, and then all of a sudden you get this huge surprise. Joining me to talk about that, what happened, and what we're doing about it, Joshua Dale. He is an attorney with Michel Associates. Hey, Joshua. How you doing?
Good afternoon from sunny Southern California, Tom. I'm doing great.
Absolutely. So we've got this gentleman, Wayne William Wright, right?
Well, he's more than a gentleman. He served as a helicopter pilot in Vietnam and received the Bronze Star. He then later served as part of the Glendale Police Department, and then as a firefighter helicopter pilot with the Los Angeles County Fire Department. So in terms of I consider myself a gentleman. I consider Mr. Wright to be a hero.
Yeah, he's a qualified, absolutely certified good guy in this case. So what happened? The LAPD comes and confiscates his gun collection. It looks like, 364 guns in this collection?
Well, they actually seized a lot more than that, but what they did was a little more insidious. They like to go to gun shows, not within Los Angeles itself, but in surrounding areas, and just kind of look at people's gun collections and then see if they can develop intelligence as to whether those people might be involved in what they believe to be gun crimes. In this instance, they basically entrapped Mr. Wright into engaging in a gun sale and then used that as an excuse to then get a search warrant and take his gun collection. And then he went through about a 10-year odyssey where the result was they destroyed his entire collection as they were telling him they were in the process of reviewing his receipts to give it back to him.
So they actually targeted him from the get-go. They started out by looking around and saying, who's got a really cool gun collection that we can get? And here's where it really gets interesting. Essentially, we can get brownie points for this and continue our flow of money.
Absolutely. The issue here is that the LAPD, like many law enforcement agencies, receives federal grants for certain types of activity, including what's known as anti-gang and anti-terrorism activity. The LAPD participates in a program called Project Safe Neighborhoods, which is administered by the Department of Justice, and they get grants for essentially showing that they are making efforts to get guns and gangs and terrorist activity stopped or get those guns off the streets. If you've had an opportunity to review the complaint that we've had to file against the LAPD on Mr. Wright's behalf, you'll notice that as soon as they arrested Mr. Wright, they issued a very incendiary press release indicating that he was a gun trafficker and that they had gotten a bunch of guns off the streets that were going to be used for gang activity, and lots of things to indicate that Mr. Wright was essentially somebody who was trying to make a profit selling to bank robbers and gang members, and the collection they got was nothing that any street criminal would ever want. It was valuable, rare guns, old military rifles, and in fact, in the case of the gun that they were trying to buy off Mr. Wright, it was a bolt-action hunting rifle, a .270 caliber bolt-action hunting rifle. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never heard of a .270 caliber bolt-action hunting rifle being used in a street crime.
No. So what they're actually doing, and I'm not going to put these words in your mouth. These are coming out of my mouth. They need to show that they are, quote unquote, getting guns off the street. The more guns, the bigger the number, the better. But, it is a lot of work, and it's dangerous to go get these one at a time from street thugs or from criminals or from terrorists. But, hey, here's a gun collector with 300 plus guns, hundreds and hundreds of guns. We could just go to one place, back the truck up, fill it up, and we've got all these numbers that we can put out for the press.
Well, it certainly looks that way to us, and it looks that way to us in particular because in this instance, when they arrested Mr. Wright and they claimed he was a gun trafficker, they never actually charged him with anything relating to his supposed gun trafficking. What they did is go out and immediately get a search warrant to seize his collection, most of which he never got back.
What did they charge him with?
They ended up charging him with misdemeanor possession of an assault rifle. And in California, an assault rifle is a semi-auto rifle that has some scary features on it. He had received one as part of administering an estate for a fellow firefighter, and it was sitting in a storage unit, and he had forgotten about it, and that was the only reason he hadn't registered it. So for all the gun trafficking claims they were making, he actually got charged with a misdemeanor and ended up serving probation for it.
Okay, so this thing goes on for 10 years, and the whole time he's fighting, trying to get his guns back, and they keep pushing and pulling, and that they're saying, okay, well, we're going to get you receipts for all this, but then they sneak around to a judge without telling him that the other judge had said, no, you can't destroy him, and got a new judge to say, yes, you can. Is that how it worked?
That's exactly what they did, and that is one of the most egregious aspects of this is it is unheard of to essentially for a lawyer, and in this case it was the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office, to go into a courtroom and say, we want an order. We're not informing the other side that we're seeking this. We're not informing the other court that has been handling this case, for however many years, about the fact that we're doing this, and we're going to go get this secret order so that we can then justify destroying these guns. If I were to do that as an attorney, I would face disbarment for doing something like that. Yet the LA City Attorney's Office felt emboldened enough to do that, and it's just shocking from a practitioner standpoint that they did this.
I would think the first judge would be livid at that.
Well, and I suspect he was, but unfortunately, once the guns are destroyed, there's not much he can do, and there's not much that Mr. Wright can do or we can do other than, unfortunately, have to file a lawsuit over it.
Well, you dropped the big hammer on him. You went RICO. Explain what RICO is.
Well, RICO is a statute that was designed both in the criminal context and the civil context to allow either attorney generals or individuals to go after criminal organizations that are engaged in crimes that essentially constitute a conspiracy. And there are some technical federal elements you have to prove, but essentially the idea is if you want to go after groups that are engaged in criminal activities, one of the ways you can go after them is through RICO, the Racketeer Influenced Corrupt Organizations Act. And so because of the egregiousness of what the LAPD's gun unit did here, which is essentially engage in a fraud, claiming that they were going through the process of reviewing receipts and they were going to return the guns, and then engage the LA City Attorney's Office to go get this illegal court order and then destroy the guns. Our allegation is that that's essentially a prima facie example of a corrupt organization. And so that's why we felt in this instance there was sufficient enough grounds for us to allege something as extraordinary as RICO.
Okay, and under RICO, you can seek treble, that is triple damages. How much are you seeking?
Well, I mean, ultimately what we're seeking here is that he get compensated for his guns. I can tell you, as a matter of, RICO has treble damages. We will certainly use that to the extent that we can affect some change with the LAPD and the LA City Attorney's Office. We recently had a very similar case with another local law enforcement agency, not nearly as egregious as this, but who was refusing to return guns and ultimately destroyed them. And our main goal in that case, and we were able to achieve it, was to get them to change their policy. And that's really what we want here. We want to make Mr. Wright whole, but we want LAPD to stop this. They've already been previously sued over this exact practice and ended up having to settle, and then Chief Parks entered a special order number 1 to change their policy so they would comply with state law and return firearms, and yet here they are just a mere 10 years later already violating that. So we want to put some measures in place that are going to stop this kind of abuse, because we've heard plenty of stories from other citizens of LA that Mr. Wright's not the only person this has happened to.
Okay, well, the number I'm seeing here is it could be as much as $4.5 million, and that's the kind of number that actually gets a department's attention, and they say, okay, we have to really stop doing this because it just hurts too much.
And hopefully, if we are successful, that is what the response will be. But isn't it a sad commentary that that's what it takes in order to stop a police department from doing something basic like destroying just a great guy's gun collection? I mean, it's ridiculous that we've reached that point, but we have.
Well, and that's where we are. Would you do us a favor, Josh, or keep us posted and let us know how this thing develops?
Absolutely, Tom.
Okay, very good. And, of course, you can find out a lot more about that, calgunlaws.com. Is that I believe that's correct. And also, is that it, Josh?
That's it.
All right, calgunlaws.com. Find out more about that and see what these guys are up to. These are the go-to attorneys on gun rights in California. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back.
Accurate, powerful, consistent. At Double Tap Ammunition, we offer 364 loads in 83 calibers that give you exactly what you've been looking for. Try us out at www.doubletapammo.com and use the promo code GUNTALK for 10% off your order.
Experts agree that the low-range variable rifle scope is best for most situations. Now, Trijicon offers a stunning 1-to-6 power variable in the AccuPoint line. Featuring a battery-free illuminated reticle, superior glass clarity, and rugged construction, it's the one scope you need for hunting and competition. Long eye relief, aircraft-grade aluminum housing, manual brightness override. See the 1-to-6 power AccuPoint at Trijicon.com. Trijicon.com.
Want to win a gun? Well, Springfield Armory has a great promotion going. They're giving away a bunch of guns and thousands of hot swag items like range bags, shirts, hats, and other great stuff. Vote for your favorite gun. The grand prize is a personal training session with 5-time world champion Rob Latham. Go to duel.springfield-armory.com. That's duel.springfield-armory.com. duel.springfield-armory.com.
In the fight for gun rights, we need ammunition, intellectual ammunition, and no one does it better than researcher John Lott, author of More Guns, Less Crime. John created the Crime Prevention Research Center to counter the junk studies being done to push gun control. But he doesn't have the big bucks of billionaires like Michael Bloomberg. All he has is us. So I'm asking for your help. Go to crimeresearch.org and donate what you can. This research makes all the difference. People ask what they could do to help preserve the Second Amendment. Honestly, this is one of the best moves you can make. If you can give a lot, that's great, but even the cost of a box of ammo helps. We need John Lott's intellectual ammunition. Go to crimeresearch.org. It's time to step up. crimeresearch.org.
At Double Tap Ammunition, we hand inspect every round that we make, and we use only the best components to give you the best ammunition on the market. Try us out at www.doubletapammo.com and use the promo code GUNTALK for 10% off your order.
Hey, next hour we're going to be telling you about an amazing gun giveaway. More than 100 guns can be given away in a short period of time. We'll be talking about that. A lot of things going on. Just amazing stories going on all the time. But, you know, I love getting your calls, questions, your range reports. Ben has called in from Texas. He's on line 1. Hey, Ben, thanks for your patience.
Oh, thank you, sir, for taking my call.
You bet. What's up?
Well, I recently, as a matter of fact, 3 weeks ago, introduced 5 young men, yeshiva students, to shooting out at my ranch. Here, I'm about an hour south of Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yeshiva is where a young man goes. These were all 17 and 18 years old young men visiting Texas from New York City. And, of course, when you're in Texas, you got to go shoot and you got to go riding horseback. So a friend of mine in Dallas contacted me, and he had been down here several times before on my ranch, and asked if he could bring them down and have them shoot. And I said, sure. So they came down with your yarmulkes on and everything, and I'm Jewish myself, and they just had a great time shooting. I started with a 30-minute safety session, introductory to the weapon that they would be shooting in the house, and then took them out to the backyard, which goes into a pasture of mine, and I have a range marked out to 200 yards, and we started at 25 feet, and I was afraid that they wouldn't be able to get it on paper, so we started with paper targets, and I'm a former veteran and American military advisor, so instruction isn't new to me. And actually, that not only were they on paper, they were within the rings, and some of them even chewing up the 10 ring.
Really?
So from there, we moved on to the 100 yards. That was a little bit tougher for some of them, but by the last magazine, they were actually wanting to do some tactical maneuvers. So, you know, I picked some one tactical maneuver for them to do.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you, the question that pops up into my mind as I'm thinking about, now, these gentlemen they're studying to become rabbis, is that right? Exactly,
sir. And this is modern Orthodox rabbis.
Yes, so they're going to be leaders in the Jewish community. You've got them out shooting. And of course, I've always been puzzled why much of the Jewish community seems to be anti-gun, when if there were ever a group of people who needed to be able to defend themselves, it would be the Jews. What kind of feedback did you get from them, or did that conversation come up at all?
Well, they're immediate. When they first pulled up in the car, I asked them, I said, well, you know the difference between a New York Jew boy and a Texas Jew boy? And they're all looking at me and said, no. And I pulled out my 40 cal. I said, this.
Said, I'm the Texas Jew. Okay.
That's it.
There you go.
So that kind of broke the ice.
Okay.
And by the time they finished, they said, we need more Jews like you. But you have to understand that there is a big division between the Orthodox community and the temple, liberal, Jewish community. A big division.
Right.
It's a day and night difference. There are in modern and Orthodox synagogues people who are packing, okay, because of the events that have been happening. Yes, my friend told me that. And the Orthodox synagogue he goes to, there are people who are armed and trained. And we're not talking about police officers. We're talking about members of the community. And this is something that's normally you would not have anything like this, because you're forbidden on the Sabbath, the Jewish Sabbath of Saturday, to carry a weapon. But for the saving of a life, you're permitted. Okay.
All right. Now, did the subject of the JPFO, the Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, come up?
No, sir, it didn't come up. But I did impressed upon them that when they go on to their, synagogues and, their congregations, to don't forget what they have here and that you need further training. I didn't start them off with the pistol because that's just, too hard to get any quick response, and they only had like 3 or 4 hours here.
And you want success.
So I wanted something a little bit more exciting than a 22, though.
Yep. So what'd you have them shooting? Did we lose him? We must have. Oh, we just lost him. Well, stuff like that is going to happen occasionally. Well, that's all right. Tell you what, it was a great call, and talk about send back some leaders in that community who will be shooters, and they've been exposed to Texas, by golly. So a friend of mine moved to Texas from Maryland. He was talking to a buddy of his back in Maryland, and his buddy in Maryland said, well, I don't understand. Why do you like it so much there? And my buddy opens the front door to his house. I think he bought 80 acres out in the middle of nowhere, and opens the front door while he's on the phone and pulls out his 1911 and shoots it right out the front door several times and says, that's why I like it here. So there you go. Texas is different. So there you go. I tell you what, let's move on to William on line 2. And William, how you doing, sir?
Doing great, Tom. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, I was trying to get a hold of you last week and just couldn't get in even for the after show. I had a caller last week who was asking you to talk to the powers that be at the NRA about trying to bring back that $300 lifetime membership. And and you mentioned that that the likelihood is it's liability for them because they have to provide certain services, and it's something that they may not have wanted to bring that many people in. I'm wondering if I can amend that request from last week and see if this might work. A $300 life membership or something less than $1,000 for those of us who are excited about that, without things like the magazine, because the magazine is something that they have to pay for to produce and pay for to ship, and it's definitely a cost that's an ongoing thing. And maybe as an adjacent thing to this, offer a reduced magazine subscription, like $10, $15 per year, rather than just give absolutely thing for the lifetime for $300, and that way they can count the numbers. You always talk about how when the lobbyists go in, first question they're asked is, "What's membership?"
How's membership? Exactly. It's the first thing they ask. How's membership? Exactly. And if they say it's up, that's good. If it's down, you've lost some of your firepower there. It's a great idea. I love it. We're going to call it. Jim just called it membership, lifetime membership light. I am going to propose that, just kind of run it up the flagpole with my buds over at NRA and see if we can get something going there, because last time through Gun Talk, we generated about 17,500, that's 17,500 new life memberships for the NRA. And so there are a lot of people that want to do it. They just can't quite get the $1,000 going. So I'll see if I can get something going. Maybe we can do like a limited 30-day run or something. Well, that would be cool. So we'll talk with the folks here, see if we can make it happen. 866-TALK-GUN. This is Gun Talk.
Broadcasting nationwide, you're listening to Gun Talk. And now, back to Tom.
I'm in such a hurry to do this. There are a lot of firearms magazines out there. One of the ones, there are several I like a lot, but one of the ones I really like is Shooting Sportsman. If you're not familiar with it, and it's about wing shooting. But boy, the guns are gorgeous. Sporting Classics, of course, is always good, but Shooting Sportsman is terrific. I like shotguns. I just like wing shooting. There's something magical and zen-like about being able to have an object flying through the air, and then you take something and throw it through the air and have them intersect at some place in space and time, and you have to make these two things happen, and it has to happen quickly. Jay's called in on line 3 talking about exactly that. Jay, what's on your mind here?
Hey, Tom, how's it going? I got 2 quick questions for you. I've been shooting shotguns my whole life, but never really been a wing shooter. Recently I've been trying to get into it, but see, my whole problem is I've been shooting right-handed my whole life, and I'm left-eye dominant. I was just wondering, does that make a difference when handling a shotgun wing shooting? Because from what I've learned is you're not supposed to look down the bead of the barrel anyways, so shooting right-handed, is that going to affect anything?
It makes all the difference. If you are left-eye dominant and you're shooting off the right shoulder, you will be, unless you're closing an eye, your left eye, it would be pure happenstance if you happen to hit anything. It'd be amazing that you hit anything. It's critical that you shoot a shotgun off the correct shoulder, the same eye as your dominant eye. But, and here's the big but, for a lot of people, it's just too late for them to switch. And like in your case, you may say, I just can't shoot left-handed. I got to shoot right-handed. But there's a way around that. Here, there are some things called magic dots. They're like little stick-on see-through dots, but they're blurry, if you will. And you stick it on your shooting glasses. In your case, you would put it on your left lens of your shooting glasses so that when you put the gun up to your shoulder, the dot lines up right with the end of the barrel, and so it basically blocks out the vision of your left eye, and your right eye takes over. Am I making sense there?
Yeah, you definitely are.
Okay, there's another way to go if you want to experiment with this but I really do like the magic dots, by the way, and you can get them, some gun stores will have them, but you can definitely get them online. Tell you what you do. Try this. Take you just a little tube of chapstick, and put the gun to your shoulder, on your right shoulder, and then take that chapstick and just touch it to your left lens of your shooting glasses at the correct point where you'd be looking at the end of the barrel. And then just kind of give you a little smudge there, just a little blurry smudge on your left lens, so that when you pick the gun up right-handed and you start to shoot, that little smudge gets right in your way. Your right eye will take over instantly. I will do that after a long day of shooting when I get tired. Sometimes my right eye wants to take over, even though I'm shooting left-handed, and just a little bit of help now and then. So that's a big deal, getting the correct eye dominance eye lined up, or if you can't, then just taking it out of the picture. Now, you said you had another question.
Yeah, do you know of any prominent wing shooting coaches in California?
I don't, but there are probably 200. So, yeah, they're out there. They're everywhere. Tell you what you ought to do. Go to NSSA, National Skeet Shooting Association, or NSCA, National Sporting Clays Association website, and they will have a list of instructors. Or, now what part of, help me out, Stockton, are you anywhere near Rahagi's shooting range?
No, I've never heard of that. Do you know what part of California that's in?
It's down in Southern California, Los Angeles area.
Yeah, see, I'm up in Central California.
Gotcha. Okay, tell you what you do. Call around to a place that has trap, skeet, sporting clays, and just ask who's the top wing shooting instructor you have. Now, here's the question: do you want to shoot trap, skeet, or sporting clays?
All of them.
Okay, because they are very different games. So what and yes, there's crossover, but you need to understand, if you're going to be serious about any of them, you have to get an instructor who really knows that game. So I wouldn't, for instance, get a sporting clays instructor to teach me how to shoot trap. I wouldn't get a trap instructor to teach me how to shoot sporting clays. So just kind of letting you know here, but if it's just general wing shooting, I would probably start with somebody who is either a skeet or a sporting clays instructor. Just my druthers on that. But yeah, if you just call a good a range that has trap, skeet, or sporting clays and say, who's a good instructor around here? They're going to know. That's always a good way to go. They're going to know who the instructor is who you ought to hook up with. And I want to also give you a huge attaboy, because a lot of people don't fully appreciate that they need instruction. And I cannot tell you how much difference it makes and how fast you will progress if you get a wing shooting instructor for a couple of hours out there, working with you, looking at you, getting you lined up, telling you where to look, where to mount. Okay, this is when you mount the gun. This is where you need to be looking. This is where you're going to insert the gun on the flight path of the clay target. And before you know it, you're just crushing targets. You're just going to be hammering them. You're going, that's amazing. Now, when you leave, you're going to start shooting lousy. until you come back up and figure out what it is you're doing. But trust me, a wing shooting instructor is some of the best money you can put out there. 866-TALK-GUN. This is Gun Talk. If you're looking for a safe and trusted way to sell your firearms, look no further than Dury's Gun Shop. I trusted them to sell my dad's collection. They built their business for over 50 years on honesty and customer service. Dury's Guns will buy any size collection or estate, none too big or too small. Selling your firearms to Dury's Guns is easy. Go with the pros. I trust Dury's Guns. DurysGuns.com.
You're at a gun store and your phone tells you about hot deals. Want to know about special offers? No problem when you have Gun Dealio, the free app for your smartphone. Gun Dealio delivers the latest deals on guns, ammo, and extras direct to your phone. Don't overpay for your shooting gear. Get Gun Dealio. It's free at the App Store and Google Play. Trigger the deals with Gun Dealio. GunDealio.com.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
Be sure to watch NRA Freedom Friday from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. with Freedom Fighters, American Air Gunner, ATSN Stop the Threat, Gun Talk TV, Championship Season, Guns and Gear TV. Watch NRA's Freedom Friday only on the Pursuit Channel, where we deliver the outdoors.
The Smith & Wesson Bodyguards. Carry more comfortably, walk more confidently. When it comes to personal protection, nothing beats a Bodyguard. Choose the lightweight, compact, and concealable Bodyguard 380 pistol or the Bodyguard 38 revolver, both with a built-in laser sight. The Smith & Wesson Bodyguards. Carry more comfortably, walk more confidently.
All right, back with you. 866-TALK-GUN. Get you in here. Just dial 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Okay, let me do this. Line 1, Ron is in Surprise, Arizona. Is that right, Ron?
Yes, it is.
All right, good deal. What's up?
Okay, I'd like to share my experience with the bargain price of going through a lifetime membership. That happened, and I went ahead and got the lifetime membership. 3 years later, I had another opportunity to go to the endowment membership. And in the meantime, through the NRA, I was able to donate a membership to somebody that was in our military.
Oh, yes, they've got the military level. Yes. That's terrific. You know, I did the exact same thing. I got the life membership like a million years ago. But actually at the NRA annual meetings this past, when was it, May? I went by the booth there and they said, hey, you can upgrade to endowment or patron or benefactor. And they had the prices. It's actually lower. You can get in when you're at the NRA annual meetings. And so I bumped it up to endowment there. So I did. What I think I'm going to do is like wait each year when I go back to the NRA annual meetings when they've got a sale price going on. I'm going to jump on and try to slide up a level each year.
Right. And that gives you time and money to donate a membership to the military, a person in the military.
I like that. Yeah, but a lot of people don't know that they have special member levels for military people and actually are active duty and also for law enforcement. So if you're unclear on all of that, you could check out the NRA's website. They've got all that information. I think it's membership.nrahq.org. and you can get all that information there. But, hey, congratulations on that, and way to go in getting a membership for a member of the military. That is really terrific. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate the call, sir. Mike's on too. He's in Statesboro, Georgia. Mike, what's cooking?
Hey, Mr. Tom, how are you?
I'm good. What you doing?
Just wanted to know, a few weeks ago you said something to the effect that you wouldn't use your own reloads in your concealed carry weapon. And I was wanting to, not that I'm saying I don't think you know what you're talking about, but I was wondering if you could elaborate on that.
You bet. Yeah, here's my thinking on that. And I mean, I'm a pretty good hand loader. I know I can load good ammo. But here's the deal. You have to prepare for more than one fight. You have to prepare for the fight against the bad guy, where you might have to use a firearm. And then you have to prepare for the legal fight, which clearly will come after that. Anything you can do to avoid part of the fight is a good thing. And trust me, if they say you're using hand loads, you could, not necessarily will, but you could get a prosecutor who says, why did you feel the need to make special extra deadly loads? Blah, 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 blah. Now we're talking about hollow point ammo and blah, blah, blah. When all you have to do is say, no, I was just using factory loads. It was the Federal or the Remington or the Winchester or the double tap or the whatever it was. And you say, basically it's the same load as our local police department uses. End of discussion. I don't need to go down that road because, trust me, if you ever get in front of a jury, they're going to pick jurors who don't know anything about guns, they don't know anything about ammunition, and they're going to try to get one of them to bite on that. So I guess my position is, why invite that? Why not just get some of the really good ammo? Use your hand loads for practice, buy a box or two of the factory loads and carry that. What do you think?
Sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
Keep you out of the slammer, maybe.
Yeah, one could hope. Now, what's this about you wanting to become an instructor?
Well, there aren't any around here that I know of. There is no real, as far as I know, there's no gun range. Right. And I was just, except for the one that actually the university was involved in building one for for the police, and it's got a bow and arrow.
Okay, got archery range there.
Yeah.
Right.
And
okay.
But there's, like I said, as far as I know, there aren't any around here.
Well, there's several ways to go. You can contact the NRA and find I forget what they call them, but there's NRA, basically the guy who gives the classes so you can become an NRA instructor. And that's what you want. And then you can be certified to teach various classes. It could be home defense or gun safety or basic handgun or, a lot of different things you can get certified in. So I think that's probably what I would do, be to find, and somebody's going to be able to call me and say, okay, this is who you're talking about. I can't remember the name of the counselor. That's it. I think they call them a counselor, but they're the ones who can certify you. You basically take the class, pay them the money, and you can be certified as an NRA certified instructor. By the way, I want to circle back. If you're using your hand loads for practice, when you choose your factory loads, be sure to run a couple of magazines of the factory loads through your gun. Shoot them. Don't just run them through, work the slide. Shoot them. Make sure that your gun will feed with the factory loads. I just ran into somebody. Who was it? I can't remember. He's carrying a .380, and he had gone to hard cast bullets, lead bullets, in his .380. And I asked him, do they feed? He said, oh, yeah, I checked it out. But his thinking was, and I don't actually fault him for it, you get deeper penetration with hard cast bullets than you do with expanding bullets. He said, I want all the penetration I can get, and yet with a good lead bullet, semi-wad cutter at least, you're going to get some tissue destruction. So that's going to work for you too. So that's fairly interesting. Hard cast bullets and a .380. Very interesting. Let's see. Richard's on line 3 out of Needles, California. Richard, I've got to make it fast. I don't have much time.
Okay, I've been looking at buying the Dan Wesson Valor 45. I live in California. I went to the gun dealer, and he told me they don't sell them there anymore. They're on the banned gun list for California, although they sold them there last year. If I go to Arizona and buy one, go ahead.
Well, here's what's happened. California has now required all guns on their list, when somebody submits a gun to be on the California list approved, it has to have micro-stamping. Micro-stamping is a myth. It does not exist, so you can't include it on a gun. And so even if a company changes a gun slightly, they have to resubmit it to be approved, and they can't resubmit it unless it has micro-stamping, and since micro-stamping doesn't exist, they can't get it on the list. So the list is getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and eventually there'll be no semi-automatic pistols for sale in California at all. All right, we're back with you. Tom Gresham here, and before too long we're going to be talking about an incredible gun giveaway. You do not want to miss this. That'll be coming up in just a few minutes. Just saw an article, why one cop carries 145 rounds of ammo on the job. Well, the short version is Sergeant Timothy Gremmons got into a rolling gunfight and went through 33 rounds of 45, hitting this guy a bunch of times. I think he had 14 shots, 14 hits. Half of those should have proved instantly deadly. They did not. He was down to, I think, 3 or 4 rounds when it was over, and he did not like that. I knew another officer who got into a gunfight, and he went through 2 magazines. We're talking double stacks, 2 magazines. He now carries like 6 magazines with him. Just throwing it out there for those who say, yeah, well, the average gunfight is, yeah, I know. How do you know what yours is going to be like? I don't know. Ray's on line 4 out of Portland, Oregon. Hello, Ray. Is Ray
Tom,
still there on line 4? There he is. Ray, my good buddy, Ray Elgin. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Tom.
Good. What's up?
Well, I just wanted to weigh in on the shotgun conversation you were having about right-handed, left-eye dominant.
Sure, go ahead. I mean, as if you know anything about shotguns anyway.
Well, this is something that's been going on literally since shooting started, and something that a lot of people don't know is that probably 35% of right-handed men are left-eye dominant, and close to 60% of right-handed women are left-eye dominant.
Wow.
And as you know, I give a lot of shotgun instructions, and just recently have had 4 people, 4 adults that were right-handed, left-eye dominant, and have shot extensively with rifles especially, and said, I can't switch over. The advice you gave the gentleman about blocking out that eye does work to a degree. In my opinion, and I don't want to be argumentative, but in my opinion, you'll never be a really good shotgun shooter unless you shoot from your dominant eye position.
Absolutely agree with you. Do not disagree at all. I was just trying to get him on some targets quickly, but yeah, switching the shoulders is the way to go.
Yes, and it's so this is the way I start with them, and some people are just very much opposed. They say I just can't do it. I said, well, let's give it a try, and work with them with a totally unloaded gun that I check about 14 times to be sure that it is unloaded, and have them continually mount on their left side and check their eye position. The pupil of your eye has to be right on top of the rib, not your eyeball, but the pupil of the eye has to be right on top of the rib, because your eye is your back sight. And then I have them shoot still targets on the ground or on a target placard or something. But it works really good at like 20, 25 yards. Have them shoot targets on the ground, still targets on the ground. And when I feel comfortable that they are actually seeing the target, and this is both eyes wide open, and when I'm confident that they are actually looking down the barrel and seeing the target, Then we start out with straightaway targets, and
Ray, let me jump in here because we are going to be out of time. My idea of finding a good instructor. What do you think?
You mean how to find a good instructor?
No, just is it a good idea?
Absolutely, positively.
It's everything. And I apologize, I didn't have a lot of time. Ray Elgin, man who shot quite literally more than 1 million clay targets in his life and taught probably thousands of people to shoot. When he speaks shotgun, I shut up and listen, except when the commercial's coming, and then I have to keep talking. So sorry, Ray. When we come back, the great gun giveaway. You don't want to miss this one.